UCLA women's basketball heading to their first ever Final Four, not just avenging last year's LSU downfall, loss to the Tigers, but most importantly, sending home who I've recently learned, the woman I hate the most in sports, Kim Mulkey, the jacket lady, sent her packing, which was extremely satisfying. So good job, ladies. Thank you for getting that one for me.
Yeah, huge. I don't think anybody enjoys, besides maybe LSU fans, enjoy seeing Kim Mulkey angrily walking up and down the sideline and in that obnoxiously loud jacket.
It's such a me show. It's so look at me, like at that age, you're coaching college girls. The jacket is such like a compensation. Like I want to be equally as much of the show by putting that stupid shit on.
I'll tell you what, it's like nothing says it's more of a me show than when LSU ran out on the floor, because I was obviously at the game. When LSU ran out on the floor, there were larger cheers for when she walked out, and she walked out probably 2 minutes later by herself, and there were louder cheers from LSU fans just for her walking out versus the team. So that just sort of shows you where they're at.
Yeah, and I'm assuming we've all listened or watched the post game. Yeah. When she kind of butted heads with that one random reporter.
It was like a student reporter from their
I was gonna say he sounded young.
Yeah, it was like their version of the Daily Bruin.
And what he said wasn't even bad. Yeah. She was like, so he was like, this is the second year you've been bounced from the Elite Eight, and she goes, terrible, isn't it? And he's like, yeah. She goes, is it terrible? And he's like, yeah, it's terrible. Kind of just being like, yeah, you're right. Yeah. And then she's like, have you been to the lowest form of like shit talking is like saying like, well, have you done XYZ to someone that is not paid? Yeah. Someone isn't paid to do XYZ. Like that's like YouTube comments shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's childish.
I don't know if you guys saw there was a crazy play there. It was late in the second half, and it was all over Twitter afterwards, but she was practically on the floor. It was a loose ball. I think Kiki Rice sort of dove and there was a scramble, and she was, just a couple feet from literally, the 3-point line where Kiki Rice was diving. Like it's just full antics on her sideline. It was pretty ridiculous to see.
Bruins got away with a call there on that one though. I'm gonna have to say that's when it went off her foot, right?
Went off her foot, but probably should have been a foul. I thought Kiki Rice just got literally leveled.
But you could have, had it touched Kim Mulkey, that's got to be off LSU. It's a technical foul.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, Bruins run the Final Four after really kind of controlling most of that game, at least the second half. LSU led into the second quarter, but once the Bruins took the lead in the second half, it was all theirs. And first, let's just take a second to acknowledge the Jaquez mini dynasty that's unfolding. I mean, that was so shades of her brother, the performance that Gabriella put on. It reminded me of Jaime's
Michigan.
I was going to say Alabama game. That three.
Yeah.
Well, she had a couple big threes, man. Yeah, incredible performance by Gabriella. Finishes with 18 points, going 4 for 5 from 3-point land, and 8 rebounds. Absolute stud game from Gabs Jaquez.
Yeah, what a family. And Jaime is also contributing back. They have the scholarship fund with the Alumni Association. They're doing a lot for the Bruin faithful, and they're Bruins through and through, the entire family. So really cool to see Gabs get her moment after saying that she was at the game where UCLA clinched the Final Four. Her brother did. So really cool for her to get her moment as well.
It was the exact same day 4 years later, March 30th, the exact same day.
Wait.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool.
Since when? Since what was it?
So the Michigan game was March 30th, 2021.
Oh, yeah,
that's right.
And the LSU game was March 30th, 2025.
I just got those Snapchat memories.
Yeah, she was in attendance. Yeah, Marley was sending me the Snapchat memories of me running through the streets of Westwood that night, just being a fool. But yeah, same exact date 4 years later. She also played 38 minutes in the game. She came out for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So
dog.
She was all over the place. Offensive glass, defensive glass. She had a big steal. I think it was like in the third quarter. But yeah, her and also Gardner.
Tamia Gardner.
15 points.
She was lighting. I think all of her points came from 3, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
too.
five 3-pointers.
Yeah, checks out.
But I mean, UCLA did most of this in the first half I mean, Ross, you mentioned it was sort of tighter and towards halftime, but I think Betts played like maybe 5 minutes in the entire first half. She had a dumb foul, then she had another foul early in the first quarter, and I want to say she didn't even play at all in the whole second quarter.
Betts is
good to see.
Betts is one of those players where I mean, what do I know? Like I'm a terrible basketball player, but I feel like she could keep the ball and not pass it out of the paint like 2 times as much as she does. I love that she's unselfish, but do you guys notice that during that game? I just feel like she has the advantage, assuming it's not a double team.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but she passed out of a lot of one-on-ones, and I'm like, dude, you are too good to be doing that. I don't know. I wish she'd be a bit more selfish.
There was a stretch there. I think it might have been the fourth quarter, early in the fourth quarter, or late in the third quarter, where we went like maybe 5 possessions, 4 turnovers, and I think a couple of them stemmed from her trying to dribble in the post and then pass out of it when she was, like you said, that if she would have went to the hoop the first time, because when she catches the ball, she's already so deep. All she's got to do is turn around and get a look.
She gets hacked though, man.
Yeah, and they don't call it.
They don't call anything.
Because she's a foot taller than everybody else. And, they're just like, oh, well, they're just defending. But it's just like she's getting smacked in the arm.
6'7".
6'7". Did you see that photo? I think her mom posted it with her younger sister, who just got awarded.
Shout out to her sister, yeah.
Yeah, a high school player of the year, the country player of the year. So that's huge. And then her brother, who's like also 6'7" and a freshman in high school.
I mean, if there's one thing we're learning from this Hawkeye situation, is like, let's get the fucking siblings in here.
Yeah, especially if they have a good, experience of making a Final Four and within the first 2 years of being here and being the star of the show and deciding to come back instead of go to the WNBA.
I would sort of line up with. I think I sent you guys like a ChatGPT predicted all of the NCAA March Madness winners until the year like 2060, and UCLA was supposed to win it in 2028 or 2030.
Yeah,
so
but
that would pretty much line up.
Yeah, but then you get like the New York Giants winning it in like 2084. Those things all got so fucked. Or like you get like some like a NASCAR team wins it in 2094.
This is offhand. Next year, probably these girls, they're all coming back. They're returning.
Nobody's going to the WNBA.
Next year's Final Four is in Phoenix.
Oh, that'll be dope.
Lit. State Farm Arena.
Dude, I think. Okay, could you make the case that college women's basketball is more popular than the WNBA right now?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's like so interesting when you talk about women's sports because, like you just said, Kyle, like the players hang around because now you're talking about the age of NIL, and especially with this kind of last 2 years, like skyrocket popularity of women's college basketball and these lucrative NIL deals that the top girls can make. I mean, they have no real reason to leave. I mean, what was Caitlin Clark's contract? Was it $75,000?
Yeah, with the WNBA.
Yeah,
they're making more money in college, probably having a better time, and winning.
I'm not trying to like white knight, by the way, and be like pay these. Like I understand like the issues that the WNBA faces from like a business perspective,
yeah.
But just with the popularity of Caitlin Clark. I don't know. I just feel like her agent could have probably gotten her 6 figures.
I think there's like rookie maxes.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah, there's probably but there is no real reason for any of these girls at UCLA to leave before their senior year. Get your education.
There's no way they're not making more now than they would on a rookie capped out contract salary in the WNBA. In the W.
I don't know if Kiki Rice has said anything if she's coming back or not, because she could technically go to the WNBA if she wanted to this year, right?
She could, but I don't like. And this is just me purely speculating. Like, I don't think she would because she has a Jordan deal. She was the first Jordan NIL athlete. She has the AT&T deal. Just mirroring her. She has a brother who plays for Columbia. He played all 4 years of his college career. Parents, they're from the conversations I've had with the Rice family when I was working for women's basketball, like they're very education focused as well. So yeah, I expect her to come back, but that's again me speculating.
I'd be so lit if they brought this entire team back and added a McDonald's All-American National Player of the Year.
And they have a redshirt who they transferred from Washington State, I believe, who tore her ACL in the offseason, who's apparently like a spot shooter as well. So this team could be really good if they bring everybody back, and then obviously add Sienna Betts.
Well, let me start some game talk about this UConn game, because UCLA opens as a 7.5 point underdog to UConn, and I feel like a 7.5 point favorite in a Final Four in general seems high, like regardless of who's playing and what the matchup is. But this is a 7.5 point underdog that was the number 1 seed overall.
Yep.
And it's also gone up since open.
Yeah, in the UCLA is the bigger team. Is it just
way bigger
the Page effect?
And has only lost to one team this entire season, who's no longer in the tournament.
Who's out? Like, what am I missing here? Number 1 overall, tallest player on the court. Took out LSU. They're playing well. They're not like a one-trick pony. They got multiple players playing their best basketball this season. It's just, I'm not like, look, if UCLA was like 3.5 points, I'm not going to be talking about this right now. I just think 7.5 is fucking crazy for a Final Four game with a 1 seed.
Insane.
Yeah.
I saw an interview today of the USC coach, because obviously she's played UConn twice now. They played once in the postseason, once in the regular season. They split, and they, SC's played UCLA 3 times. So a reporter asked what were her thoughts. I thought this was a pretty brutal question too from the reporter. Really right after she loses, asks about the game this coming Friday between UCLA and UConn. Like, what were her initial thoughts? And she's like sort of taken back at first, but she actually gave a great answer talking about how they're just completely 2 different styles. Like, UConn will play 5 guards at times, spread the floor, and it's just going to be speed and, putting up tons of shots. And UCLA, she said, it's post, and more post. And then they have good shooters that they can kick it out to. So it was interesting, because she said it was going to be a great game. She couldn't really pick a winner, but like seeing this line, and now it's up to 8.5. So obviously there's been money bet on UConn. And the whole ESPN analytics is at 70-30.
That's crazy as well. The only thing that I could think that pushes this is that they've been there before. Like, UConn is a perennially
Gino
Auriemma. Like he's coached in Final Fours. He's won many national championships. This is Corey Close's first. This is all the players first, the programs first. So they might be taking that into effect. But
yeah. I mean,
and you have the Bucher's effect.
Yeah.
She's won back-to-back 30-point games.
Yeah, but I mean, Lauren Betts
is also doing the same thing.
Lauren Betts had 30 and 10 in her first 3 NCAA games, and then didn't play essentially the first half, right, of this last game.
It really did suck, honestly. Like, UConn SC would have been such a good matchup with Juju Watkins. I mean, UConn was a 14-point favorite in yesterday's game, and I really don't think it was ever that close at all. USC was just sort of completely outmatched, but
without Juju, they're just a completely different team.
I was hoping for UConn, in the semis for UCLA. Like, USC winning that game yesterday, I don't know. It would have been a much better game with Juju, and then I also would love to see UConn, UCLA, Gino close, and there's all these like headlines.
Yeah, I mean, would it have even been as satisfying, to bounce USC from the Final Four without Juju? Because like all you're going to hear from their fucking fans is that they didn't have Juju, and like there is merit to that. But yeah, I'd rather USC not get like a Final Four added to their resume. Yeah, because I don't think the win would have been that satisfying.
Yeah, listen. A lot of fans, and I can sympathize with USC fans over this, but to be like, oh, I'm upset that Juju Watkins is out, I'm not upset, and this might be controversial, but like, injuries are a part of the game. It sucks. UCLA's dealt with injuries, men, women, every sport. If you're an athlete, you've dealt with injuries personally.
Yeah.
Ross and I were just talking about back pain before we got on. Like, it's just a reality of high level athletics,
right?
And I can sympathize, but like, I'm not upset.
Yeah, and I don't think there were any fans of teams when Jalen Clark goes down in 2022 saying, "Oh, I wish Jalen Clark was still playing." No, you don't. Yeah. Why would you want him to be playing? He's going to decrease the odds of your team fucking winning.
Exactly.
So yeah, let's not kid ourselves. Again, hey, just because this is women's sports doesn't mean we're going to fucking put on a little muzzle. It's like, no, thank God she's not playing, because I would say UCLA's odds of winning the national championship went up multiple points after that. Hope she's all right, but
yeah,
it's, you know.
It's the situation. It's sports.
Yeah. And then before we shift over to men's, hats off to the athletic department for a change, for actually putting together something fun for both students and just general fans. They will be hosting a watch party at Poly Pavilion this Friday night for the Final Four game, which should be an awesome time. They did confirm that they will be serving beer, wine, and liquor, just as a heads up. I unfortunately can't make it. I would go otherwise.
Yeah.
Fucking free. It's a great idea. You see that all over the place. NBA, college. It's a thing. So we're catching on.
Yeah, it's a great idea. Like you said, it's free to the fans. I think students get priority access, but it's free to everybody. Doors open at 6. Great kudos to the athletic department for listening and putting this on for a really special team that hopefully can hang a banner in Poly. See, we give credit where it's due.
Would have been a big miss if they didn't.
Props to the athletic department for doing something.
Yeah.
Good job. Okay. Men's basketball.
Yeah, what a week.
We really
What a
thought
saga.
we really thought for a second there, or actually like a full day or two even, that we could have nice things as a UCLA basketball fan. Friday night, it's announced that UCLA, in one of its best NIL era recruiting pulls ever, probably since maybe the Dante Moore football signing. That was a big one. I picked up a commitment from arguably the number 1 overall transfer portal prospect this offseason in Donovan Dent, point guard transfer from New Mexico. Rumors everywhere over this dude's sticker price, but the one that seems to be sort of the prevailing narrative, I'm seeing $3 million outbidding Kentucky, ultimately for this guy. And now, before we move on to how all of these good vibes kind of came crashing down, which we'll certainly get into, let me just preface this by saying that UCLA still has a chance to be very good next year now that this guy is in town. I know there's some like shock and awe left, kind of lingering from the news that broke this Monday about Adai Mara, but make no mistake about it. Dent, I don't know if you guys have had the chance to watch his highlights or just had the chance to watch a lot of New Mexico. This guy's the real fucking deal. Absolutely cooked UCLA, so I know most Bruin fans saw his game then, but just his bag and his kind of player profile, it's just like to a T what UCLA was missing this year, that we complain all the time on the show about not having a guard that can, with authority, get to the basket, you know?
Yeah. I mean, he was honorable mentioned All-American.
Exactly.
So, I mean, he's obviously the real deal. I think he shot over 40% from 3, which is huge. As you mentioned, Ross, especially for the guard play that we're lacking. He's a Southern California kid. He was recruited by Mick, I believe, until we signed Amari Bailey and then retained Tiger Campbell that year. And
Dylan Andrews.
And Dylan Andrews. That was the third one.
He's a Mountain West Player of the Year.
Yeah, he's an exceptional talent. And a question I had for you guys was, is this Mick's biggest recruit? Let's go freshman and transfer. I was going to say it's either Amari Bailey or
I think Bailey was bigger.
Really?
There's a lot of hype around.
I think Bailey was
now.
number 2 overall.
But that's a high school kid, though. I think that with what we know now about the effectiveness of bringing in a seasoned veteran who's played college basketball, proved to be a legitimate college basketball player, versus bringing in an 18-year-old, I think with what we know now, I won't even call it recency bias. I'm going to go Donovan Dent. That, at least with a comparison to Amari Bailey. I mean, the Mara one was pretty big, but that was a totally different situation with the pro team and all of that. No, that's a good question. I mean, it might be.
You raise a good point that, like, I feel like, I mean, obviously, so many programs are looking towards the transfer portal before high school recruiting, and obviously Cronin is sort of seemed to be on that train as well. You obviously can't ditch high school recruiting, but if you're looking at the fact that if you're looking at the fact that the portal is guys that have played in college basketball and have been at this level and are fucking 21, 22 years old now, I saw we were in the running for KJ Lewis as well today. Arizona transfer. He's like a 5th year or 6th year. So if that's the way we're looking at it, then 100% this is the biggest signing because, Donovan Dent's proven that, Mountain West Player of the Year, All-America, all that stuff.
Yeah.
This is maybe such a dumb question that I might even cut it. Amari Bailey, he was recruited and signed in the NIL era, right? Did we have an NIL package waiting for him that we had to agree on when we signed him?
I don't think so.
That's a good question. 2022. Was
it just before
committed in 2021. I think it was just before it. I think he just missed it.
Okay, so I think that is another reason why I'm going to lean Donovan Dent because, at least with basketball, because I mentioned the Dante Moore situation. That was the time when UCLA really kind of flexed a bag.
Yep.
This was the first time I've seen them really do that in basketball, against Kentucky.
Like that, yeah.
And I remember
that figure was still nowhere close, though. Those figures were, if I'm remembering correctly, I think Moore was sub $1 million.
Yeah,
I think it was right around $1 million.
Right around $1 million, and this might have tripled that. So, and Kentucky was involved, and I remember when his name initially listed that he was transferring, it was just kind of like, oh, well, like, why do I even care about this? Because UCLA hasn't really shown me much that they're going to be that aggressive on the NIL front. Mm-hmm. But, here we are. So, yeah, Friday, UCLA picks up the Dent commitment. I spend the weekend figuring out where I'm going to vacation 1 year from now to celebrate banner number 12. Where I'm going to take my personal honeymoon once that one goes up. Just because the pieces are all there.
Yep.
You've got Dent. You've got
Sky Clark.
You've got a Ty Mara. And then comes Monday, March 31st, my birthday of all fucking days. It is announced that Adai Mara will not be returning to UCLA in 2025. Dude, just to the sheer absurdity of some of the details on this situation. We're recording this on April 1st.
Mm-hmm.
Part of me is like holding out hope that this is all some sick, twisted April Fool's joke, just due to the nature of some of the details that are coming from the situation.
Well, you saw what Adai posted on his story, tired of the lies.
Tired of the lies. That's a lot.
What lie could that be?
That carries a lot more water than Dominic Harris saying,
what was it? Hate to see it or something like that?
What was it? Like negative vibes,
Harris.
Man.
Yeah.
Dom Harris is taken to Instagram as of 23 minutes ago.
Oh.
Saying what?
He reposted. Wait a second. There's no way.
Breaking news.
He reposted Adai Mara's Tired of Lies with Target emojis.
This is getting so ugly.
Look at this.
Okay, so for those that are not up to speed, or just to sort of recap the timeline, early last week, it was reported by various sources that Adai Mara and UCLA had come to an agreement of sorts and that he would be returning next season to play for the Bruins. That was all over the place, whether it be on Twitter, forums. It was just kind of the consensus he was coming back. Almost immediately following this, Adai leaves for like a sort of spring break visit.
Yeah, go back home.
Back home to Spain. And then fast forward to March 31st, this past Monday. Mara returns to LA, meets again with the UCLA coaching staff, and reportedly walks back his commitments to return, this time with a list of unusual demands, some of which kind of just like defy any and all like logic of like team sports.
Yeah.
It's just stuff that you would not hear from even like the biggest of divas in the sport. And that's why this is all so weird to me, because not once throughout the last 2 years that I ever really get that kind of vibe from him. Even with the minute situation, the restricted minutes that we all were kind of in agreement was bullshit. He never really seemed to show any frustration on the bench through body language or any social media or going to the press. So very unusual to hear that his return was basically contingent on a list of demands that were very sort of self-centric, to, I guess, kind of put it that way.
Yeah. And like you said, Ross, it was just so weird because this kid's a fan favorite. He has the support certainly on social media, certainly in the stands from the Bruin faithful, and he seemed to kind of get into his own when he was given the opportunity some of those games, and it's just, it's so baffling.
Yeah.
Well, it was also reported before he left to Spain that there was an NIL agreement. There was an agreement in place for him to return to UCLA, both from an NIL standpoint and just him committing to the program, right? So something happened.
So, there's the theory that while he was gone, there was quote unquote tampering from other schools offering him large sums of NIL. But the reports are that he didn't come back demanding NIL, but was instead demanding this list of terms that were super strange. There's the theory that this was done intentionally, kind of in bad faith, for basically UCLA to tell him, okay, well, fuck off, and then he can just walk. But I feel like there's a much easier way to do that. It's just walking. So that's why none of this makes sense.
It almost seemed like, to me, those demands were given to Coach Cronin and his staff to, if they were to, consider them, then they can go back into negotiations for a higher NIL figure, because then it means they want him that much more.
Which is like the first step of negotiating.
I personally think that Adai should just go and start his pro career in Spain. Like, he could go play over there, make good money, and he's doing it 24/7, not having to go to school, not having to do any other things, like, and then I'm in a couple of years being the NBA, potentially. But I just can't see him at another, like I mentioned this a couple weeks ago, I can't see Adai Mara at Auburn or fucking Clemson or wherever this dude ends up.
Well, I just never saw, like, I know I'm maybe kind of beating a dead horse now, but I just never saw, that's why this is still very weird. Like, it doesn't feel like it's, obviously there's going to be elements of like agent and just like his corner, whatever you want to call it, but this would be the last player that I ever thought would kind of just make a 180 from like a character standpoint like this. And I'm sure there's more to it, and that there's two sides to every story. But I'm certainly not just going to think that the report is like fully fabricated, because then you're like teetering on like full on like libelous, like that's illegal. But I don't know. It just seems almost too strange to fully believe that was what he returned with, and those were the words.
Yeah. Your reputation at the end of the day is so important, especially in the college game, and now with NIL and the transfer portal. I think that this report, and if this is all true, which I'm not saying it is, I'm not saying it's not, but it's what we know, it's going to hurt him. Yeah. So what college is going to accept these terms for unless they really wanted him to just UCLA to say no, in which then what you do is you have a face-to-face conversation with your head coach and you say, hey, I appreciate everything you've done for me in the last 2 years. I think what the best next step in my career is to move on to a different school. That's fine. But to do
you would save yourself a ton of reputational damage that way.
Exactly. His reputation is shot if this is true. Like,
that's why
what head coach is going to be like, we're going to be okay with all these demands that he's put on the table for $1 million or whatever the number is going to end up being, and then who's going to say he's not just going to walk and do it again next year?
Yeah,
Kyle, that's why these demands that he's listed, like, I could see it being more in line with him playing professionally in Spain if they are true. If those demands are true, then I would expect that Daimara to play basketball in Spain next year, not college basketball.
I sure would rather him be playing in Spain and not playing at a different college. That would be best case scenario, just from like
100%.
What is he gonna go to fucking Oregon? Imagine that shit. Boy,
no, fuck that.
But on the good news that comes out of this is that it clears up a considerable amount of NIL for Cronin and the gang to go after There's some still very, very strong transfers in the portal, and there will be more coming.
I saw that
later
Hunter
in the
Dickinson
year.
went in the portal today.
Was that
I'm not
April?
sure if
No,
that was,
that's not real.
I was
That's
was
not
going to
real.
ask you guys. It has to be April Fool's.
I was just gonna say it is tough to prep for a college like basketball podcast on April Fool's Day. You know what I mean? That's kind of why I opened with the Adai thing. I was like, I almost am holding out hope here because it just seems so outlandish that like of all
Title
days,
lies.
who's the coach that retired on April Fool's? Roy Williams,
remember.
North Carolina.
Yeah, Roy Williams.
And until like April 2nd, North Carolina fans were all just like,
it's not happening.
is this really happening?
I want to ask you guys. Well, one, I found it shocking. I mean, not shocking, really, but went through 247 Sports' transfer portal recruiting rankings. Obviously, we brought in the number 1 point guard. Dylan Andrews is the 90th ranked player in the entire portal right now.
Damn, we swapped the
which is-
90th for the 1.
which is pretty nuts. Yeah,
The art of the deal.
but
New Mexico, you receive Dylan Andrews. I
Straight up
receive
trade.
Donovan Dent. Straight up trade.
what kind of school do you guys think that DA and a guy like Sebastian Mack end up at?
Sebastian Mack would be an awesome like mid-major like pest.
I'd like Drake.
I've been
Or
hearing
Xavier.
Sebastian Mack to Nebraska a lot.
Sure.
Are we a feeder school for Nebraska
All
now?
right, it's fine. Maybe he'll put on another
Burke.
40 pounds and do more aimless driving to the basket.
Yeah. He's gonna end in the what did I call it? The yoga pose midair.
I mean, you see guys on Twitter right now, guys are in the portal being reported and linked to schools or have heard from certain schools. I haven't found anything of Dylan Andrews reported schools reaching out to. I've actually been trying to find things, and I mean, I hope it's going well for him, but like the last thing you want is to go in the portal and really get not a lot.
Well, I mean, didn't Dominic Harris commit to Syracuse? Who committed to Syracuse?
That was
William Kyle.
William Kyle. So listen, if William
I mean,
Kyle,
that guy's got a lot of upside.
I don't think
That
Dominic.
guy's got a lot of upside.
I don't think Dominic Harris is even technically in the portal yet.
No.
But he's just stirring up shit on Instagram, not even announcing if he's transferring. Just
It
being
was like
Dominic
that SC
Harris.
receiver who tweeted something crazy the day after the season.
we talked about that. Yeah.
We talked about it on the show.
I don't remember what it was.
it Jacoby Lane? No, not Jacoby Lane. It was.
What was the tweet?
It was something crazy.
It was really funny. I remember we toasted him.
Well,
We'll have to go
okay,
into the archives.
that is a bummer about Dylan because I had no issues with him. Like he was a outstanding dude, good guy. People liked him. Teammates loved him. Fans loved him. He just didn't progress the way we wanted him to, and things just didn't work out in like a basketball sense. So, yeah, I mean, I'm rooting for him, but it's a bummer. If he
College basketball Jesus has a prediction for Dylan Andrews
Oh, okay.
to Boise State.
Yeah, I could see that. Boise State, Colorado State, Mountain West school.
Yeah. I mean, the film isn't there to bring him really anywhere else, if I'm being real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was Jacoby Lang saying it's cooked for me.
Oh yeah. How did you find that?
I just searched the Jacoby Lane tweet.
It's cooked for me.
Yeah. Hopefully the social media aspect now to this transfer portal Mara situation ends with the Dominic Harris repost, because if this turns into a fucking circus,
It's like a middle school, high school thing.
it's getting to that point
Yeah.
now. So
Yeah.
we'll see where it goes. At least Dent is signed. Thank God. Could you imagine?
Yeah.
Dent bounces and then literally just from Friday to now, it's like, all right.
What a roller coaster. But if you're a Daimara, I think you would want Donovan Dent as your point guard, feeding
That's
you balls in
kinda-
the post,
like,
opening it because he's such a good 3-point shooter. It opens up that post game,
This kind of goes back to what we talked about last episode, man.
and we're throwing a bag at him.
to where I feel like if we had just played him normal minutes last year, this probably wouldn't have happened. You know, when we
Oh,
say
no.
Listen, but if
when we
this-
say how there's like multiple sides to the story,
Sure.
you just know that like a huge part of their leverage was you did not play Adai the minutes that he so clearly deserved, and that was what drove their negotiations. If you had just played him like 25 minutes a game post-Wisconsin game, like, I just highly doubt we're having this conversation.
Yeah, but like at the same time, to be honest, if these demands are all true, I don't want a player on the team who deals with not being able to get minutes by demanding these insane amounts or these insane, almost list of
That's
things.
why I almost want to hear him.
Yeah.
I want him to go on like an Instagram live, because there has to be clarification to this. I kind of want, in a fucked up way, this report to be true, because it really kind of absolves UCLA from, any school would have told the guy to take a hike. Mm-hmm. But I mean, whatever. Hopefully by Friday we have an entire understanding of what went down. More and more Instagram stories will show the truth.
Shout out to, I know this is not a Dodgers podcast, but I'm watching the game. Shout out to Dusty May. First start back.
Oh, nice.
Five innings scoreless.
Hey, the Dodgers aren't going to lose, man.
I forgot Dustin May was on the roster. He's my favorite pitcher on that team, just from his fucking hair.
He's a stud. 162-0 they're going, except they're down 1-0 in the fifth. But.
I'm not worried at all. I've had used the Dodgers win Panda Code 4 times.
I was just about to say, yeah, Panda
So
Express code.
All right. Well, I hate to kind of end on a bad note there. It's a bummer, but I really did mean what I said about Dent coming still is a net positive, and there are multiple other big contributors for UCLA basketball coming back. So, like Keon, you mentioned, this frees up. I can't believe I'm using the term cap space in UCLA now in the same sentence, but this does free up cap space for UCLA. So hopefully they do pick up a quality big multiple. That now they need like basically 2 5s, a wing. That's kind of it. But we'll see what happens. This is not our last, but this is from our regularly scheduled programming. This will be the last SBS episode until next football season, although as things develop over the offseason with football and basketball recruiting, you can expect to hear from the crew at any given moment. So stay tuned, but we'll be live on Instagram and on Twitter. So thank you over the last several months. What was it, 7-8 months now that we've been doing this?
Yeah,
September,
since August.
God damn.
Yeah.
Well, if you have listened to every single episode from one to now, we cannot thank you enough, and we are super excited to gear up over the off season and come back next year with the best UCLA sports podcast in existence. So again, go Bruins! Thank you guys, and looking forward to having a great off season for both football and basketball. And we'll see you next year. Go Bruins!
Thanks, guys.
Bruins.
Cool.